Good morning. I've just watched that clock turn to 6:15. I hope you are doing well. Can you believe we're on day 6 already? So 6 days of you practicing gratitude, 6 days of you being hydrated first thing, 6 days of you working on your breathing and your mobilization. So already now, 6 days in, I'm hoping that you have started to recognize the benefits of doing these things, because that's the whole point of this challenge. Good morning. Now, hopefully I can see on here who this is. Oh, can't find myself on my phone again. It's a bit silly. So it tells me who it is on the phone. There you go, Julie. I can see it's you. Good morning. I can't see it's you on my laptop. Very silly. But anyway, good morning. So you're doing well. 6 mornings on the trot. Fantastic. So this in itself is also becoming a habit and hopefully one that you're enjoying. So today I want to talk about Christmas parties and events, because already now things are happening, aren't they? We're now on the 5th. No, we're not. We're on the 6th. I've lost a day. The 6th of December. And yeah, Christmas parties and stuff are kind of kicking off, events to do with schools and all of that kind of stuff. And as we know, all of these things do revolve around food and drink. So what I want to share with you today is some strategies, some tips on navigating this stuff. And the first question that you need to ask yourself is, how do I normally behave in these environments? And does that serve me? Do I come away from these do's feeling good? Or do I come away from these do's feeling guilty, feeling I wish I hadn't have eaten what I did, I wish I hadn't have drunk what I did, feeling bloated? Do you wake up the next morning feeling anxious or achy or with a carb hangover or with an alcohol hangover? So get some awareness around what has been your past behavior. And then what I want you to do is ask yourself, how would I like to feel? Because when we know what we don't want, that's great. It's half the story. But let's get some clarity on what we do want, because then we can start to keep that front and center of our focus. If you focus on what you don't want, you're inviting in more of what you don't want, because where your focus goes, grows. Now, yes, it's a cliche. Is it absolutely true? It certainly is. So as an example, the more you focus on not having enough money left at the end of the month, the more I can guarantee you will not have enough money left at the end of the month. Why? Because you keep thinking about it, because you keep talking about it. What you think about, you bring about. Where your focus goes, grows. That's key, right? That's gold. Hold on to that. Remember it, because if we can really start to change how we are thinking and what we're focusing on, we can literally change the trajectory of our lives and especially our health. Now, I work with somebody and I love her to bits, but she still hasn't got this. She still hasn't got this after all these years. So she keeps talking about not feeling well, feeling ill, worrying about feeling ill, wondering what is the next thing. If she gets a pain, it's catastrophized. And so what is she doing? Well, she's inviting more of that stuff to show up in her life. So this is really important. And it may sound like it's a bit woo-woo and it's a bit out there. Nope, not at all. This is based on neuroscience. This is based on brain chemistry. And I think I shared with you that I go to university and I was there last night, which is learning about how the brain works, because I like evidence. And I'm not just coming out with this stuff based upon, oh, I heard somebody said it's a good idea. No, there is neuroscience behind gratitude, and there is neuroscience behind you focusing and saying and speaking and thinking about what you do want. Keep focusing on what you don't want, you'll get more of it in spades. So when you are going to events and parties, how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel when you go home? How do you want to feel when you're there? How do you want to feel when you wake up the next day? Because when you've got clarity on that, it's going to be so much easier to create some strategies and some boundaries. Call them boundaries, call them rules, call them strategies. Boils down to the same thing. This is what you're going to do and what you're going to tell yourself. So I'm going to share with you my strategies on these kinds of things, because for those of you who haven't read my story and don't know my whole history, I struggled with bulimia and anorexia from being a very young person. I started when I was 11 years old with issues around eating. Actually, when I look back, I had issues. I just didn't realize much younger than that. I was very much a binge eater, but not even knowing that it was a thing back when I was 5, 6 years old. So I've had a lot of issues and eating issues around food. People may look at me now and just think, well, you don't know what it's like to be overweight and struggle. I flipping well do. Believe me, that's why I do what I do, because I do know what it feels like. Now, certain rules when it comes to dieting rules are just too difficult to stick to long-term consistently. And that's why diets fail. It's just too hard. But this is about you getting some clear strategies and knowing why you're doing it, which is why I've asked you to ask that question first. Because if we know why we want to do something, we're much more likely to do it. If somebody just says, do that, and you don't necessarily understand the reasoning behind it, there's no kind of powerful desire to really do it for yourself because somebody just told you to do it. So, but when you want to do it because you've decided you want to do it because you want to feel a certain way, then it becomes so much easier. So how do you want to feel? So for me, I want to feel light, energized. I want to wake up the next morning, being able to get out of bed and just feel like I would do on any other day. That's how I want to feel. And if that's the same for you, when we need some strategies. So these are the simple things that I do. I do not drink alcohol. I haven't for now 19 years because I had an issue with it. And so I'm not a fan, I think I've shared this before, of the non-alcoholic alternatives. Why? Well, because a lot of them taste sweet. And over the years, I have not kind of liked any of the sweet alternative drinks particularly. So my go-to when I'm out is either a sparkling mineral water with fresh lemon or fresh lime in it, or I will go for a pint, yes, a pint of lime and a soda. Right, not everywhere in London, as I discovered when I first moved down here, knows what soda water is. And they give you these silly piddly little bottles. But if they've got a gun that has soda water, then that's what I will have, lime and soda. But I ask them to make it very, very weak because I don't like it too sweet. That's my preference. I don't like fruit juice. Fruit juice is just pure liquid sugar. It doesn't quench your thirst at all. So I'm never going to go for a fruit juice alternative. And the same with non-alcoholic cocktails. They're all sweet or creamy, or I can't do cream because of my autoimmune issues. So for me, it's pretty straightforward. It's a soda and lime, or it's a sparkling mineral water. It's not difficult. Do I know that? Yes. Do I ever have an issue with it? No. Right. And it's much, much cheaper for the people who are hosting the event because it doesn't cost them a lot. And if you are buying your own drinks, again, it's the cheapest thing out there. So for me, that's what I have. So I already know what I'm going to drink. If you do drink alcohol, decide before you go, A, am I going to drink today? Or is it going to be an alcohol-free event? B, if I am going to drink, what is my limit? What is my limit? Am I going to say 1 glass? Am I going to say 2? What is the absolute limit? Am I going to give myself some leeway, right? But be clear so that if you get pushed by other people, or if your glass is being surreptitiously topped up and you're not realizing, be aware, right? Put your hand over it if somebody is coming around, topping up, going, I'm fine for the moment, thank you. Right. And this is where you don't have to be rude about anything. You don't have to be defensive. You can just very clearly state, I'm okay, thanks. I don't need a top up right now. Thanks. You know, I'm enjoying it. If you have to add in something else because you feel that something's lacking, if you don't embellish, because that's how you've always done things. But don't make a big issue out of it. It's not an issue, right? And certainly don't apologize, is what I said yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't anyway. No, you're not sorry at all. It's your body and you just don't want it. So very simply, I'm fine, thank you. No, I don't want to top up. I'm good, right? It's not hard to do this stuff. But if you've never done it before, you need to practice. Now, when it comes to food, depends on the scenario. A lot of Christmas parties, if it's a meal out, you'll have had to pick your options in advance, which is great, isn't it? Because you get to look at the menu and you know what you have chosen. So that's pretty straightforward. If you're feeling guilty about having a dessert and you've put a dessert on your meal and you've picked one, but you kind of have only done it because you think, well, everybody else is going to be having one and I don't know if I really want one. It doesn't matter. Wait until you get to that stage and see how you feel. This is my absolute number one rule of thumb. If it doesn't taste absolutely great, stop eating it, right? What's the point in eating food that is meh, that's mediocre? It's meant to be enjoyed. So if it's rubbish, and I've said this already, just leave it, right? No one will die. You're not wasting it. Okay. And just let me caveat this because I have this conversation with so many people, and I'm gonna say it again because some of you will not have heard this before. When you go out to a restaurant, you are not just paying for the food. When you look at the cost of something or the price of something on a menu, that is not just the cost of the food itself. That is encompassing all of the costs it takes to run the establishment, including paying the pot washers and the rent and the council tax and the gas and the lighting and the heating, as well as cleaning the cutlery, the dishwashers, the cleaners, etc. You are not, when you're going out, just paying for the food. So when somebody looks at something on the menu, goes, oh, that's expensive, I just kind of want to go, oh dear, you've never been in the hospitality business, have you? And a lot of people haven't, so I understand it. But bear in mind, when you are out for a meal, you are there for the experience. So are you wasting food if you taste something and it's not great? No, it's just not to your taste and it's not great. Let it go. If, however, you've got a very powerful, strong programming from being a child that you cannot leave food because, I don't know, maybe the world will end if you do, then you can ask for a doggy bag. You can take it home. However, if you are somebody who struggles with binge eating and overeating, and if you know it's there, you keep thinking about it, is it wise for you to take it home? Maybe, maybe not. Can you take it home, give it to somebody else? Potentially, if that's an option, yes. Could you take it home, stick it in the freezer? Maybe. Will you actually go back and ever eat those leftovers that you've taken home? Honestly, possibly. Probably not, though. However, if it makes you feel better, do that. So that's a sit-down meal. Put your knife and fork down when you're eating. Chew slowly. There is nothing worse than somebody having the knife and fork in the air or loading up the fork before they've even started to chew what they've already got in their mouth. Slow down. You'll probably find you do not eat half as much as perhaps you normally would because you are chewing slowly. Every single time you take a bite off your fork, your knife and fork goes down on the side of the plate and you wait until you have swallowed before you reload. Right? This is how you are now in control. This is how you're slowing things down. This is how you will connect to the hunger and full up signals much, much more clearly over time if you practice doing this stuff. Remember, you're there for the company. If it's a buffet, different strategy. And this is what I do. Again, I'm sharing with you my strategies. They're not necessarily the ones that I'm saying you must do or you should do. I'm saying maybe have a go, see how it feels. So when it comes to buffets, I will scan. And if it's all brown, I ain't going there. Right? Brown food to me is just like, no. It's going to probably be baked. It's probably going to have flour in it. It's probably going to be pastry. I cannot have any kind of flour or dairy or anything like that because I have got 3 autoimmune issues, and I will share a little bit more about what those mean on tomorrow's. But it just means that when I look at brown food, I'm just like, it's a no from me. However, if there's fresh things like a green salad, if there is just lean meat and chicken drumsticks that have not been deep fried in breadcrumbs, if there are things like poached salmon, yeah, fantastic. But it goes on a plate and I scan it first and I decide beforehand what I am going to have. I don't go, oh, look at that, I'll have a bit of that. Oh, look at that, I'll have a bit of that. Because here's the thing, and I've said this before, I'm old enough now to have tried most foods in my life. There is nothing likely to be on that buffet that I have never had before. There is nothing likely to be there that I don't know what it tastes like. Okay, yes, it'll be made in a different place. It's a different venue. It will be slightly different because things are. But in general, I know what a vol au vent is. I know what a sausage roll is. I know what a quiche is. Do they excite me? Not in the slightest. Are they brown foods? Yes. Am I going near them? No, right? But I don't think about them in I'm missing out. I'm just like, why would I eat that? Right? They're usually not great cooked on these things. They've probably been sat there for an hour or two, right? And they just don't give me joy. And food should give you joy. So I will pick what I'm going to have and I will decide in advance and I will stick to it. And that's the thing, I will stick to it. Now, if I did happen to miss something as I'm going along, or there is something that I don't know what it is and I've never tried it before, am I going to? Yes, but I'll have one. I won't have 2 or 5 or 10. I'll just have one. The other thing that I do then is make sure that I sit down. And this is one of my golden rules when it comes to food. Never eat standing up. Ideally, try not to eat with your hands if you can help it. Use a knife and fork, as I said earlier, put it down, right? Wait until you finish swallowing before you pick it up again. If there is no option, if you have to eat standing up, I just don't eat. Simple as that. I will eat when I get home, but I do not, because that is one of my absolute non-negotiable rules. And later on in the month, I'll share with you about non-negotiables. These are about you doing what you say you're going to do, but having absolute clarity on just what you will not compromise on. And that is one of those. I don't eat standing up. Right? I eat with food on a plate. I don't eat out of a packet ever, right? It goes in a bowl or it goes on a plate. And I do not eat standing up. Why? Because I know I'm not going to be focused on that food. And the key is be fully present, taste it, savor it. And if it's not great, leave it. It has no power. It's just food. I hope that's helpful. And I hope now you're going to negotiate your events and Christmas do's, if you've got any coming up over the next few days, feeling a bit more confident and a bit more clear on just how you can feel great at the end. Yeah. So helpful. Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you. That's my goal. Have a great day and I will see you very, very soon.